If you are a member of the committee and you were calling in virtual, can you identify yourself? It's now 4:30. Councilman Reed, are you present?
Oh,
Is that yes or no? Burns, are you present? Kelly, are you present? Luke, who do you have signed in?
So online we have Councilmember Kelly, Sean Cholik, Chris Voss from the PD, Mike Vasoko, Leslie Williams, Tesh, Councilmember Reed, Kelly Ganderski, Shanika, and Tammy.
Do you mind putting the screen on gallery view? Can I ask the members of the committee if you are available to please turn on your camera so we can get started? The time now is 4:30.
Recording in progress.
I am here, unable to turn on my camera, but I'm here.
You said so. We have Reed.
We have Reed and Kelly online.
No Burns, so that's quorum.
Yeah. Not seeing Burns.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started in a moment. I just need a pen. Thank you, sir. So I have, before we get started, oh, wow, that's a much longer list.
Yeah, but not all.
Okay, thank you. We're just putting together the public comment list, comparing the two, and then we'll get started. So we have 6 people signed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have,
Mike Vasoko, I'm sorry.
okay. I'll read off the names before we get started. And thank you. And if you don't mind, just give me a little nod. Kelly Marcel, thank you for being here. Sonia Nordahl, thank you for being here. Sue Gartzman, thank you for being here. Trisha Conley, I see. And then Mike Vasoko, I don't have your name signed up.
Oh, and Matt's here as well.
Matt
Matt Rooney.
Rooney. And your name, please? Oh, thank you, Mr. Rooney. Your name?
I'm Jenny Karlovitz. I signed up for Zoom, but I decided to come.
Sure.
Oh, still, she's hard. Okay, thank you very much. All right.
Peter, I'm phoning in. I'm on Zoom, so.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, July 26th Administrative and Public Work. My name is Almond Braithwaite, the chair. We do have a quorum. Councilman Nusma, do you want to go ahead and read the?
Should we do a roll?
I make the motion to suspend the rules in accordance with the governor's executive order to permit us to meet remotely.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Director, do you mind calling the roll?
Councilmember Burns. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
All right, we have a quorum. Next, we'll have public comment. The first person is Kelly Marcel.
Hello.
You have 2 minutes. Go right ahead.
Am I? Okay. I'm here in support of A9 and A10. My name is Kelly Marcel. I live across the street from the 15th hole where most of the parking will be taking place. I need to tell you that I've never played golf. So golf has a very racist and exclusionary past. American golfers are 77% male, 80% white. Canal Shores opened the door to those who've been traditionally locked out by offering scholarships that expose minority and/or disadvantaged kids to this traditionally white sport. Per Lawrence Hemingway, the city has contributed about 60 scholarships this year. In order to keep these programs viable, the course needs a more consistent revenue stream to keep it viable, sorry. It cannot sustain itself on the dribs and drabs of donations and course fees. I'm asking that you vote yes to this parking proposal. The NIMBY response to those who oppose this request has no place in Evanston's goal of equity. It must start in our own neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia Nordahl?
Hi there, councillors and committee members. Thanks for your attention. I'm Sonia Nordahl. I live at 1507 Colfax Street. That's also across from the 15th hole, about a block up from Kelly. And I'll be actually at the cut where the cars will be coming and going, and I fully support this. I am also a board member of Canal Shores, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. It's just my own personal thing because I live there. Because I live in the neighborhood, I thought it was important to be involved in the golf course, so that's why I'm a member. I was away for a couple of weeks as I had a relative who recently died in Canada. And when I came back, I was so surprised at the controversy when I left. And I just assumed because the neighborhood, most people have moved there because they love Canal Shores. So I was so surprised that some people weren't supporting this revenue opportunity for CS. Then I read the email that went out while I was not around, and I realized why. It's because it's full of misinformation. It was also started by a resident who is no longer living in the neighborhood. So, and that person makes a lot of money from parking cars on his property. So I'm a little wound up about that. Also, there's a lot of misinformation. When I sent an email out to many of the people in the neighborhood that I know, probably I sent it out to 20 people that had initially voted no. I've received 10 emails back saying, oh, now that you've expressed it that way, I fully support. In fact, I did forward all those emails on to you, so you know I'm not making up numbers. So I just want you to know, as soon as I heard more factual telling of the issue, people seem to be in support. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Matt Rooney.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Matt Rooney. I am actually here on behalf of Canal Shores. I'm the vice president of the board, Canal Shores. I'm also a resident of the 7th Ward and live near the course. You all hopefully know Canal Shores is a 100-year-old institution in Evanston. It's a not-for-profit. We've been running the golf course for 100 years. We take care of 87 acres of green space in our community. It's the largest single green space area in Evanston. We do it with no help from any municipal money, so we maintain the course at our own expense. And it's much more than a golf course. It is a community commons area where people gather, where people work together on ecology projects. You've already just heard about our youth golf program. And we have concerts there, and many people just use the course for other things. So it's a real community space. My colleagues that have spoken before me have been talking about this question about whether we should be able to expand the parking onto 14 and 15, which I'll talk about in just a second. But this overall, this is a question of us entering into a lease amendment. And by the way, I should have said I'm talking about A9 and A10. A lease amendment with MWRD to enable us to run this parking for the city. And secondly, the memorandum of understanding and the SOP under which we will operate. We need all of those approved, and we need them approved in their entirety as they are. There are 7 holes that are covered by this. 5 of them we've been doing for years. We have a track record of doing it well. There were twice before when we expanded into other areas. There were some neighbors initially showed some concern and were worried about it. We worked with them. Got them to recognize that we were doing a good job on this, and they've been happy with it. Councilwoman Revelle called a meeting last night for the neighbors who lived on these other 2 holes I'm talking about, 12 and 3, saying, anybody want to come and talk about parking on Canal Shores, any issues you have about what's going on 12 and 3, where people before were worried about it. No one showed up at the meeting except 2 people. And the final thing I'll say is we've met 3 times with the people who have not been happy about this, talked to them, tried to answer all their concerns. We have spent 6 hours explaining how we're going to handle this, so I urge you to support this on our behalfs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next, we have Sue Gartzman.
Hi. Thank you so much, council members, for your work and allowing us to voice our concerns here. We live at 2401 Jackson Avenue, my husband Howard Gartzman and myself, and we've lived there since 2006. We are right adjacent to the 14th hole and the 15th tee, and our deck and our office is right there. So essentially all day, every day, we watch and monitor everything that's going on. I wrote a letter, but I just want to reiterate a few points, hoping that you will vote yes for this parking proposal. So what I've seen in the constant watching of the golf course all day, every day, is that, especially during COVID, it was always an active area. It has become more active, super popular. Everybody is out there for their physical and mental health, and I'm not talking just golf, and I won't go over all the activities which have already been mentioned. But I think what has really resulted from that is much more appreciation for what Canal Shores is, that it's not just a golf course, that it's green space for everybody, and more volunteer hands, and it's really been an incredible sea change in what we've seen in the momentum of the volunteers that are coming out to help. So the reason that I say that is during game days, the rhythm of what happens is really not that different from what I see on a daily basis. It's really nice, it's non-disruptive. In fact, it's just festive. And so a few days a year, we get, basically the rhythm is, we get the early birds, they come in, they're looking for parking, they park. Then we get the latecomers, they're looking for parking, they park. But both of these groups, they look for a spot, they park, and they go. They go to the game. They're not like hanging in the neighborhood. They're here for the game, so they go to the game. And I really think that a pre-planned option is actually going to result in less of that scrambling for spots that's happening, and kind of a more organized traffic flow. And as far as who it is, it's mostly families with young children. It's middle-aged couples who went to Northwestern. It's elderly alumni. This is not a partying group. Those are kids that walk from campus or potentially take public transportation. These are not kids who are, the kids are not coming in spending 30, 40, sometimes $50 to park their cars. And we really have never seen anything bad happen. They come, they leave, maybe a couple beer cans over 15 years. So it's all really good. Everyone always forgets Canal Shores is in dire straits all the time. It's a nonprofit, and everyone just thinks that you guys are paying for it, I guess. So I just vote to support more revenue for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Jenny say that again? Karlovitz. Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, so I'm here about A11. I'm confused. So the resolution does talk about developing a long-range strategy for the provision of security, but it doesn't say how. So my concern is how are we getting that? I don't see that having off-duty EPD doesn't make me feel secure. And also the resolution says the city council believes that it is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the members of the city of Evanston, the residents of the city of Evanston, and I don't see it. So I urge you to provide safety for everyone, and take care of the needs that are expressing themselves on the CTA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Ms. Trish Conley.
Hello, Tricia Conley, 4th Ward. I'm here to speak about item A13, ordinance 80-0-21, authorizing the 2021 general obligation bond. I seem to remember campaign platforms around fiscal responsibility, and I'm here to remind you all what that means. You are the representatives of all of us here in Evanston. We all contribute through taxes and fees in this city. It is upon you to be responsible with our money and how that money is spent. Why are we bonding $18,500,000 when the items presented should already be accounted for in the current budget? This has the appearance of a way to create hidden reserves. I see that by bonding, you're going to save $500,000 on interest on yet another bond. Okay. And then the city of Evanston is going to increase taxes to handle fees and interest on this bond? Where are the savings? Is this where the can gets kicked down the road? Sorry, this goes from bad to worse. It will be very telling if you all don't have an in-depth conversation and get some answers from City Manager Storley and the staff. So we know you all are doing everything possible not to increase our taxes. I am well aware some of you don't want to look back at the financial behemoths of the recent past, but this is the here and now. Send this over to the Budget and Finance Committee to be scrutinized before you consider issuing another financial burden on the taxpayers of Evanston. That is a start to being fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mike Vasilko. You have 2 minutes, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I agree with the last speaker, and I believe we're at the point where we need a structural change to the way the staff is organized, and probably new staff members to take over where others have failed. I'm also speaking primarily about item A13, the GO bond ordinance. This appears to be a slush fund for the staff. This is wrong. It's a bad practice. I don't care how many times the city manager says this is the way it's always been done. That's the problem. It's always been done this way. So, we're borrowing money for maintenance items, well over $1 million of maintenance items. We're borrowing money to pay staff who are already part of the staff, already have the salary. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. I was hopeful at the last meeting, council meeting, when Councilmember Kelly challenged staff for $700,000. They had buried $700,000 of engineering costs and almost $500,000 for the library expense. Those items were removed from the July 12th document to today's July 26th document, but they never should have been in there. So the bond amount should have been reduced by over $1 million. But what staff did instead of saving that money, they put in other projects that make up the savings. So now the bond amount hasn't changed at all. Why is Councilmember Kelly the only one who seems to be policing staff? We have a city manager, we have a chief financial officer. It's their responsibility to peruse these wish lists of expenses before it even makes it to council or to this committee. And they're not doing that work, so why do we need them? Who's watching the store? It's really, I don't have time to go through 2 pages of a list of things I made, but there's at least $4 million of questionable and incomplete line items shown in the GO bonds list that just don't belong there, for the reason that I've already mentioned. And the bond amount, if not totally blocked, should be reduced by $4 to $5 million, or, as Trish Connolly just said, should be held for examination entirely at the Finance and Budget Committee.
Mike, you're approaching 3 minutes now. Do you mind wrapping it up, sir?
I sent through some other emails today, one of which I need to bring up, McAuliffe Park and the park that's being built at Robert Crown.
We're now at 3 minutes and you are off the agenda item, so thank you very much for your comment, sir. All right. That will conclude our public comments. I just want to thank you all, particularly those that are in person. We are now to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any members would like to have removed before we get started?
I'd like to pull
I
A2.
would,
Okay, one. Okay, I'll.
Go ahead, Councilmember Kelly.
okay, thank you. A10, A12, A13, and A14.
Okay. 10, 11, 12.
No, 12. A10, A12, A13, and A14.
Okay.
I will figure if you're pulling off A10, it makes sense to pull off A11 potentially as well.
It's
Because they're
9 and
both
10 are the ones that go together.
Right.
Oh, sorry, 9 and 10.
Yep.
I'll pull A2 as well.
Okay, 1 second.
And just
A2.
point of order, is Council Member Revelle participating via Zoom?
She's here.
Oh, she's
She's not on this
participating
committee. Oh,
via
oh,
her
sorry.
person in the room, so, okay, great.
Was there an item? Councilmember Revelle, was there an item
She's here
that
for
you're,
A9 and 10 if we...
you're here to
if we need
speak to
her.
A9 and 10? Thank you for coming to the mic.
I'm just here in case you have any questions.
On A9 and A10?
Yep, right.
Thank you very much. We'll call you when they come up. All right,
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I apologize.
It's okay.
I did mean A11. Sorry.
Okay, so far, we have A2, which is the bills list. We have item A9, A10, A11, A12, and A13. And A14. All right. We're off to a late start, so I'm going to try to move through this with some efficiency to make up time on what's going to be a very long night. Are there any other items? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, item A1 is approval of the minutes of the regular APNW meeting July 12th, and that's for action. Item A3 is the approval of the contract award with G.A. Johnson Paving Company for the 2021 parking lot and park improvements project bid 21-2018. Staff is recommending to council the city manager to execute the agreement with J.A. Johnson Paving Company, and that's going to be in the dollar amount of $196,071.16. That funding is coming from our CIP fund. Item A4 is the approval with the contract, approval of contract Garland/DBS Inc. for the 2021 city roof assessments. That information is in your packet for the various facilities. That's going to be in the dollar amount of $39.87. One of the things, this is a company from outside of our city. I'm not going to pull it now, but that's a conversation I'll follow up on. That is for action. Item A5 is the approval of the agreement for a sole source purchase with Spring City Electrical Manufacturing for the Talmadge streetlights. That's in the total cost of $48,785. That funding will come from our capital improvement fund as well. That is for action. Item number A6 is approval of the agreement for sole source purchase of a Toro Groundmaster riding mower. Staff is recommending that agreement for the Groundmaster riding motor. That's going to be in the dollar amount of $44,826.21, and that's coming from our general fund, Greenways account. Item A7 is also for action. That's the approval of a sole source annual renewal with our CAD software license and service agreement with Central Square Technologies. That's for the Evanston Police Department in the dollar amount of $82,681.48. That is also for action. Next, we have item A3, approval of the contract. Oops, I already read that, sorry. Item A5 is the approval of the agreement sole source with Spring City Electrical Oh, I did all this.
A8, we're on A8.
Yeah, I'm a little bit off tonight. A8, Resolution 76R-21, appointing Casey Solomon as a City of Evanston's authorized agent for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. That is for action. Item A9 has been moved, A10, and also 11 and 12. Director, will you please call roll for the consent agenda?
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Go next.
My apologies, trying to unmute. Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
All right, the consent agenda passes unanimous. We'll now move on to the other items, keeping track of the time. First, we have item A2. That's the approval of the City of Evanston payrolls and bills list. I'd like to move for action the Evanston payroll, the period of June 21 to July 4th, in the dollar amount of $3,047,578.12 for our bills list for July 27th, in the dollar amount of $1,693,705.93. That is for action. Councilman Nusma? you have
Yeah, I'm just going to
question?
recuse myself.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded.
I'm going to recuse myself from this in the interest of full transparency and avoiding the appearance of a conflict of interest. My wife's employer is on the bills list for a total of $200 this month, so I won't be voting.
Who's the employer? Which one?
It's a division of Arthur J. Gallagher Incorporated,
Okay.
the risk management company.
Thank you very much. All right. All right. Thank you for calling that out. Director, will you please call the roll for item A2, our bills list?
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Abstains. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to move right ahead to item number A9. The resolution 75-R authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. Staff is requesting city council to authorize the enter into lease amendment with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. This is for action. You pull this one off?
Can we move these together, A9 and A10 together?
Yes. Who pulled it off? That's what I was asking. Who pulled it off?
Councilmember Reed pulled 9, and Councilmember.
No,
Kelly.
I did not pull anything off. Councilmember Kelly pulled them off.
Are you fine with hearing the two at the same time, or do you would like to take them separately?
So I apologize. I meant to pull off A11 regarding the CTA. So
Are
maybe
you,
these have been pulled off by accident.
are you okay with reading into the roll item A9 and A10 then?
Sure.
I did have a question on A10.
Okay, so let's, go ahead.
We need a motion. We need a second for A9, and we haven't made a motion for A10 yet, so we just.
I'll second A9 and also move concurrently, if that's allowable, A10, Resolution 70R21, authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city, Northwestern University, and Canal Shores for tailgating and parking management during Northwestern Wildcat football home games for action.
All right,
Second to that.
Second.
all right, just so we're all clear, we're moving item A9, the lease amendment, to allow it, and then we're also moving IA10, which is the resolution in the contract. Director, will you please call the roll?
I just had
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. My
One
apologies.
question to clarify. I intend to
Yes.
vote for this, so if this belabors the point, I apologize. But bullet point 5 on our memorandum of understanding.
What page are you on, if you don't mind?
Let
Just so I can
me
find it.
pull that, 144, hold on a second.
Okay, thank you.
It says that if the revenue fails to meet the $80,000 threshold, Northwestern and Canal Shores will make up that difference.
The percentage in that, I know.
And I just want to clarify that the split has been established, so Northwestern and Canal Shores aren't pointing fingers at each other to say who owes how much
Yeah, that's in
of
the
that
memo.
balance.
Okay.
And if that's in elsewhere in the 150 pages, I
Yeah,
missed it, I apologize.
Do you know where it is in the memo? I can't.
Not.
Or
Good evening, members of City Council. Deputy City Manager Kelly Gandersky here. Councilmember Nusma, believe I emailed it to you earlier today. I apologize if you didn't get the email. I believe it's in paragraph 5 of the MOU. It's essentially a 70-30 split between Canal Shores and Northwestern University on any arrearage. And that is under, I believe, the section titled Accounting in the MOU.
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Gandersky. Seeing no further lights for discussion, Director, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
Councilmember Reed?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite?
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you all very much. This is going to move to City Council. I don't know if you want to stick around counting the votes. It looks like it's going to move forward. You have your decision. We'll probably start in the next 2 hours or so. All right. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Next items for discussion, we have item A11, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Chicago Transit Authority for special detail. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I can't recall who took this item off.
Councilmember Kelly?
Councilmember Kelly, you have the
I just had a couple of
floor.
questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So could someone just explain the relationship, like in terms of training and how this meshes now with our new reimagining public safety? I assume that the officers are not trained by CTA, but by our own police department. And can someone answer that?
Can you make the distinction, Councilmember Kelly, so are you talking specifically, which?
I'm referring to the A11, correct?
Yes, yes.
And so what would you like? What distinction?
So are you talking, what our police department is doing for training?
So it's to, formulate a contract with CTA regarding our police officers working at the CTA. So I just want to understand who trains and how this works for this detail.
So it was a question, who trains our police department for this? I'm just trying to clarify the question.
Right, that's right.
Council members, Director Stonebeck, Louis Gergitz, Manager of Budget and Finance for the Evanston Police Department. The training is provided by the Evanston Police Department as part of the field officer training program. So when the recruits are going through the field officer training, they get trained on the CTA detail. In addition, any additional training is provided by the patrol supervisors if needed.
Our Evanston patrol supervisors.
That's correct.
Okay, great. And the piece I'm not real clear about is, so if there were ever any claims, so we're working with CTA, providing service for the CTA that we're asking for the CTA to essentially reimburse, why would we have to cover any potential claims? Why is that on the city of Evanston, not on CTA, if there were ever claims against us? Against a police officer working the CTA detail?
It's part of the intergovernmental affairs agreement. It's the agreement in place. It is the Evanston Police Department officers that are working, so it would be, them handling the situation, not the CTA.
But it's on CTA.
Okay, so 813 is.
Working for the CTA, correct? So our police officers would be working in essence for the CTA, yet if there are any claims, the city would be responsible for those claims.
That's correct. According to the IGA, that is correct.
So are there others, like in Skokie or Wilmette, is this way it's handled also, just so I understand?
I'm not sure about the agreements between Skokie, between the CTA, Skokie, and Wilmette, but we can look into it.
Okay, yeah, I would ask that. I just, don't want to subject us unnecessarily. If this is something that we could in fact, that the CTA would cover, I think that would be preferable. So
I would defer to council on these questions, and possibly Alex can answer them for us.
Good evening, Councilmember Kelly and members of the committee. Alexandra Ruggie, Assistant City Attorney. So the way this is set up is it's an intergovernmental agreement. So the Evanston Police Department has worked special detail for the CTA for many years. And so this is just memorializing the agreement in the IGA and updating it. The City of Evanston did increase our rates at which we are billing the CTA. And while this is a special detail reimbursed by the CTA, the Evanston police officers are still Evanston police officers when they're on this detail. So they are still in their official capacity as police officers, where in which that's why the city still creates a liability, because they still are there in their official capacity. And to your question about Skokie and Wilmette, I'm not sure. I would imagine it's the same, but I can confirm that.
Okay, I would like to hold this until we have that confirmed. I just, in the event that this is, if there are other cities where any claims who are providing police services, but whereby CTA covers any claims, I would like us to do the same. So I just want to verify that.
I'm willing to second that hold, but I do have one question before that happens.
And ask your question.
Thank you. So I'm curious, do we have a similar agreement with Metra or any of the other, with Metra particularly?
No, I believe Metro provides their own security, and it looks like the IGAs would be the similar across the board with other municipalities. They wouldn't give us preferential treatment or any other municipality, so they are the same with Skokie and Wilmette.
Councilmember Reed, are you just referring to any intergovernmental relationship that we have with our police department or specific to transportation? He's frozen. Alex, do you mind, because I'm assuming that we have relationships, for example, with ETHS, District 65, and also Northwestern, where our police are used in joint efforts where we have agreements. Is there anything on file that's worth mentioning at this point? If not, it can come back with the other information.
So those are a little bit different because they're not special detail. So those are their regular assignments where in which the city would be liable because we're there in our official capacity, but they aren't special detail. The only situation would be similar is when officers work special detail for like the NU football games.
Right.
But that's a special detail with the city, and we don't have a formalized agreement with them.
All right.
I have another question. I'm sorry, I don't have like the little button to push when I ask.
It's all right.
Is that all right?
Just let us know. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
So another question. So why do we have, why would there be a cap on CTA reimbursement? Why wouldn't we CTA cover potentially all actual costs?
Well, the cap's in place to basically set a limit on how much the city can spend, and for at least the last several years, the city has actually come in under the cap. The cap in the previous agreement was $207,000, and the city has averaged approximately $200,000 a year for this detail.
Sorry, who was that speaking?
Louis Gergitz, Manager of Budget and Finance for the Evanston Police Department.
Okay. Okay, so the cap is, basically that's part of the agreement to protect sort of CTA so that they know that we don't go over.
Exactly.
That we don't go over.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a piece they put in place. Okay, and is the CTA aware, of our current effort to reimagine public safety and that status quo may change with regard to how business has been done in the past?
I would believe so.
Okay. Okay, so I think I held this just until we get more information regarding claims.
I'll second the hold.
Second, a few additional questions from Councilmember Nusma.
Question regarding the staffing level of this detail.
Hey, Councilmember Nusma, can you turn on your mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question regarding the staffing level for this detail. Is this detail staffed 24/7 or just during peak hours, or how regularly is that detail staffed?
It's staffed every day. There are 2 shifts, basically 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So basically the peak hours of
And the officers working this detail are receiving overtime pay, which is paid for from this IGA.
Right. They are receiving a special detail rate. Currently, it's $38 an hour. It hasn't changed for a number of years. With the new IGA, the rate would go up to $50 an hour.
And does our current contract with the police officers union require an arrangement like that?
Well, the contract speaks to special details in general. The rate currently in the contract is $50 an hour for special details.
Because what I'm getting at, if this is a special detail that is actually an everyday occurrence, maybe we hire additional officers that we don't have to pay overtime pay to, rather than having them work extra and receiving overtime pay, just to be more efficient with taxpayer dollars.
Right.
This part isn't.
I'd just like to clarify.
Clarify that, please.
When we talk about the detail rate is, it's $38 an hour right now. With the new agreement, it approximately go up to $50 an hour. So it is considered overtime because it's not part of their normally scheduled working hours, but the rate is not a time and a half overtime.
Thank you for clarifying.
So, Luke, Gary, I think what might be helpful is, and just for those that are listening in, and I'm going to wrap this up quickly, we've been doing this. So this just formalizes the activity that's being done.
Yes.
So even in the absence of this, because it is a footprint within the city of Evanston, if something happens and the police are called, they're still going to respond. So I think that that's like, just for the new members and any other person listening on this conversation, if you're in the city of Evanston and someone calls the police, our police are going to respond to that. If I interpret this, it's just formalizing agreement, and it creates an opportunity for the officers to be paid overtime, and it doesn't take away from our normal city operations.
Correct.
All right. So with that understanding, Alex, did you want to add something, please?
I did. I was able to communicate with Corporation Counsel Nick Cummings, and he just said that it's state statute that the city of Evanston indemnify our employees. So that provision of the contract is dictated by state statute. So it would be the same for Skokie and Wilmette and across the board, because the officers are employees of the city of Evanston acting in their official capacity. We would indemnify them.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's why I asked regarding ETHS. So when our officers are working at a night game, for example, I would think that that would be special detail, but specifically that's why I asked the question as an example.
Yeah, exactly the same. I don't know if that's officially special detail, but they're still working there in their official capacity.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just, what is our policy regarding overtime for police officers?
How so, ma'am?
Well, I mean, do we have a policy?
For overtime?
Yeah, because we're talking about overtime here, I think.
Well, this is a special detail, so it's overtime in the sense that it's not during an officer's regular schedule. But it is not overtime in the sense that the rate is time and a half. It is a special detail rate. Right now, it's $38 an hour, and with the new IGA, it would go up to $50 an hour. So it's a unique situation.
So, Councilmember Kelly, just if we're going to hold it, we're going to hold it. But can you just again state the questions that you are asking staff? Because I think you just were provided a response by our corporation counsel regarding what I felt is your question. So I'm asking for clarification.
So thank you very much for that response. I'm only going to hold it, but just because I'm a stickler this way, just so I can actually review the statute. But thank you. I trust that is the case, but I would like to see it.
And which specific statute are you referring to?
Regarding claims.
Claims. You got that? Is that something that you can get to her in between the meetings? Thank you very much. Absolutely. All right.
I just want to be clear on one question that I have. Sorry for the noise. I'm actually on the CTA. the reason I'm supporting this hold, I'm also
I'm having a difficult time hearing you, Councilmember. If you could either just speak again. I just can't hear you. Thank you.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just curious. I'm supporting the hold to get the answer to Alderman Kelly's question, but also I'm curious why this is seen. It's property that's within the city of Evanston. I would, if I could just get more information on what it means. Are these officers riding the trains, and why is that not part of their regular duty? This is again within the city of Evanston that they would normalize as a special detail.
Councilman, can I suggest, just to keep us moving, it's difficult, you're coming across a little bit choppy, maybe to either text or call in, and we'll see if we can get your question answered as well. It's just really difficult to hear you over the audio right now.
No problem.
All right. Gary, we'll make sure that we'll get you connected in the event.
If I can make one last point.
Please.
There have been IGA agreements between the city and the CTA since 2003, so approximately the last 20 years.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, good dialogue. Next up, we have,
So what is the action on that?
I think it's held, but hopefully if we get the information.
Do we need a vote to hold?
No, it's just two, the first and second, so they held it.
Which means we'll have to take it up again next time.
I,
Can't come back.
No, it can. I mean, it's just a hold for information. So it's being held in committee, not at council level, two different things. And I did make it clear. I mean, so just for those that are listening, I made a point of just stating that this is something that we already do as a function. So it doesn't stop them responding. It's just an opportunity to recap dollars for the extra time. I mean, depending on what lens you look at. So I think those are very important questions. We have an opportunity to get them answered before now and when we meet, and if the questions are satisfied, we can bring it forward to council, and if not, we'll take it up at the next AP&W. We have a robust schedule tonight. This is not.
It has to pass out of AP&W before it can go to council.
Alex, can we read it from the council floor if it's held in committee or no?
No, it's held in committee, so
Okay.
it'll have to come back to APW. It can be pulled off.
Right, but not pulled up. I got you.
If I might suggest, if Councilmember Reed and Kelly would be comfortable withdrawing their hold at the committee level, if we can get them the answers they need before council, we can take care of this tonight. If not, we can hold that at council.
Well said. Councilmember Kelly, do you have an opinion on that?
I'd like to continue to hold it. Thank you.
All right. This item is held over to the next meeting. Next up, we have item A12, amending Title 4, Chapter 13, floodplain regulations, floodplain regulations. This item is for introduction. Someone held this?
Councilmember Kelly.
So, I'm sorry, I thought I was holding the bond, A12.
A12 reads item 81-0-21, amending Title 4, Chapter 13, floodplain regulations. That's for introduction.
And I apologize.
No worries.
I'm very sorry. I meant A13.
All right. Can we call the roll on item A13? Okay. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second A12.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Item A12, it's for introduction. Director, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
If you didn't hear it, aye.
We heard it. Thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsome.
Aye.
All right, that item passes.
Chairman,
And,
item 13, A13 should not be on this agenda. The APW approved introduction of ordinance 80-021 for the sale of GO bonds at the last meeting. That can be confirmed by looking at the minutes, which are on page 11 of 494. This item was actually held in council, and it mistakenly was put on APW. It should only have been on the council agenda.
Okay, so if that's the case, this item A13, for those that are in the audience and listening in, Ordinance 80-0-21, authorizing the 2021 general obligations bond issues should be read, and we will take this up at council. And my assumption.
I'm sorry, this has been an adjusted and modified bond. It's not the same bond that was brought to council, and I understood it to be introduced at APNW. And I think the public did too. It is a new bond. It is not the same as the one that was presented before.
Do you have a response for that?
The ordinance has not been modified to my knowledge. It's the same dollar amount. I understand the items to be funded by those dollar amounts are different, but the dollar amount is the same. And again, this ordinance was introduced and accepted by the APW at the last council meeting.
But it was a different bond. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. There was over $1 million that was allocated in a different way. You
So
can't,
can
was back for introduction on APW.
Right, so here's going to be my recommendation as chair, just to move. I'm sorry.
Wants to talk.
Good evening, Chair, Councilmember Braithwaite, can I just kind of...
Please.
So, yes, what happened is the amount has gone down by the $500,000 of the library bond, but the ordinance where we put not to exceed amount, it has remained the same. So nothing has changed in the ordinance language.
Okay. So is everyone clear on what happened? And my suggestion is let's not hold a conversation at both places for the benefit of any other council member that has something to say. We'll discuss it then.
I think that this is wrong for the public. I think it's not transparent. I think the bonds changed significantly by over $1 million, and it should be discussed at APNW for introduction. Otherwise, it's not transparent.
Well, there's no action for us to take on this if it's already been voted on at our last meeting in the same reading. So we'll move on and we will take it up.
I'm sorry, but this particular one was not voted on. They've now switched out. They've removed $700,000 from what was salary and changed it to an animal shelter. They've removed the library, but they've left the cap the same. So not even the cap, the actual bond request the same. This is a different bond.
All right. So thank you very much for your comments, Councilmember Kelly. Hitesh, will you be with us at City Council? And if there's any continued conversation, it can be held on the council level. All right? Okay.
I just want to, if I may just chime in, I just want to echo that I do believe that the bond has changed. While it is the same dollar amount, it's a significantly different bond. And so I will just echo Councilmember Kelly in thinking that it would have been proper for it to move through AP and W again.
Got it. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Item A14 is Ordinance 68-0-21, amending the City Code Section 1-17-4-2, which is sale of real property. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Who had a question on this? Councilmember Kelly, you have the floor.
Yes, and I've stated this before. I don't feel we should be reducing any amount of public notice with regard to the sale of any public property. If anything, we should be amplifying the possibilities for public participation, not reducing. So I cannot support this.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comment. Is there, seeing no further lights for discussion?
I'm sorry. I think amendments to this would be appropriate, or I would like to hold this if we can come up with some amendments to try to solve the staff issue and the issue that staff raised, and ensure that we're being transparent and including the public. So, Councilmember Kelly, would you be willing to support a hold if we can work with staff to figure?
I second the hold.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then I will because I wrote no to it as well, and so instead of it dying, I think we should try to make some progress. So I will move for hold.
And I second.
All right, so item A14, that is ordinance 68-0-21, amending the city code section 17 sale of real property. I just want to make a comment to all that this is for introduction, so it's at introduction when you could potentially make any comments or changes that our staff can work on. So if there's something specific that you would like to direct our staff, just in a matter of efficiency, now would be a good time.
Well, yeah, what I'll do, and actually, as a matter of efficiency, I'm happy just to meet with Councilmember Kelly and staff at a later point and have it come back so we don't use committee time to, and then that way the draft that we received, as many folks have said, is written in a way that everybody has a chance to read.
All right. Seeing no other items before us, no other items for discussion, seeing no further lights for comments, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Planning and development that was scheduled for 5:15. We'll call that meeting to order at 5:40. Thank you.
Oh, it's 5:30.